Well, good afternoon, Sheldon. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate, you giving us some of your time this day to go over some of the services that we provided you, how BizCPAs and your CJ Campos CPA LLC has been able to help you over the years. So for the first question, I wanted to ask that I understand that you migrated to the U.S., you and your family, back in 2019. Can you, enlighten us on how the transition was and how BizCPAs and CJ Campos CPA LLC were able to assist you in organizing your finances and tax requirements with the IRS?
Yes. When we first start migrating to the United States, we realized that one of the most important things is to make our presence known to the IRS, and also make sure that all our assets and transactions are being recorded and it's done in a legal fashion, so that we do not have any issues in the future. So by Googling, I found the company, and it happened to be very close to where we were living, which was in Doral, and it was a no-brainer from the first meeting. I clicked with Yasid, and the rest is history. We just remain in contact, and we continue moving forward with everything that we needed, basically.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you so much. And, over the years, it's been an honor to be able to service you and your family, relocating from, the islands, and helping you understand all the legal requirements to stay in compliance with the IRS, to avoid any penalties and interest that can be accrued on that penalties and any possible audits by the IRS. So I wanted to go to the second question, that given your circumstances, you had a U.S. entity that owned assets outside of the U.S., and that required you to file Form 5471. Can you explain how the conversation was with the main CPA, CJ Campo, who illuminated you that you needed to file this form to avoid triggering an audit and incurring $25,000 penalties for each year that form was not presented to the IRS?
Yes. During our initial interview and exchange of information, it was made clear to me that everything that we basically owned and we are doing transactions on, we need to declare, and that's when I was basically introduced to the Form 5471, and basically all the data, the value of the properties, and also the most important thing was that given the fact that most of our transactions were linked to a bank account that was right here in the United States, so it had a lot of importance, and it was also connected. And it was important that we streamline all of these transactions and make sure that we report all of them to the IRS.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate that answer. And, definitely an important form, especially for people in the South Florida area who usually have, or most likely some of them have businesses outside of the U.S., and they may have that U.S. entity own those assets outside of the U.S., and any income that's generated and linked to the U.S. definitely has to be reported to the IRS. And, it's been quite a journey to be able to, educate you on that. You get more up to date with it, and just make sure you're in compliance, especially now with the increase in interest rates. Those penalties and the interest that accrues on those penalties are at a higher level than what a lot of the clients that have incurred penalties back in the early 2000s or 2010. So thank you so much for that. My last question is, can you speak to the quality of service that we have provided over the years in helping you review the accounting of the bookkeeping for the real estate activities and salon business to ensure that the numbers are accurate, transparent, and credible?
Oh yeah, most certainly. When we migrated here, we had started working on our E2 visa, which required us to have definitely all our finances in order. And what needed to happen is that we acquire a E2 visa qualified business, which we invested in using Blue Pound Management as the main company that was purchasing this entity and managing it as the primary source for our E2 qualification. And immediately we involved the company so that we can get all the documentation that is required so that they can file and have all our transactions in order, because it is very important that when we go to the embassy for our interview, that all the documentation and all the information that is provided is accurate. One of the main information was that before purchasing the company, we required a service from BizCPAs to give us insight as to if this was going to be a perfect business, if it was something worth purchasing. And a feasibility study was provided by BizCPAs, and we used that as our main go-to so that we can go ahead and make the deal happen. And we also continue with them, with BizCPAs, to do all our day-to-day basically transactions now that the salon business that we purchased for the E2 visa is part of our complete bookkeeping through BizCPAs.
Thank you for that. And it's been definitely a delight to be able to help you with that transition and that transaction, and to be able to help you weather the storms for the good and the bad. And we've had several clients over the years, especially one that's coming off the top of my head, that they have been doing well as a business, but because they weren't in compliance with the IRS and not paying their sales tax or other taxes that pertain to their business, they've had several $100,000 in back taxes that they owed and the penalties on top of that, and that's caused a real strain on the cash flow that they could have like a really strong operating net income, but if their cash flow is being hampered by outside forces like back taxes and penalties and interest that are accruing, it deteriorates cash flow position and then the solvency and the financial health of the business. So we always try to advocate with clients that it's a two-way street. We try to do as best as we can by you and always be on your side to advocate for your interests with the IRS and other third-party vendors to help the business grow and to keep your finances and taxes in order. But it also requires that the client as well works with us and that they provide the documents that are needed on a timely basis. And if you've been one of the best client that has done that for us over the years, so we definitely appreciate it. So thank you so much for your time, and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to give this testimony, because you guys have been very important to our migration into the United States. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.